He just fluent.
We'll get more on practice. Sal Capaccio joins the show in just about an hour at 4 p.m. And coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Also got uniform news today. The 8 teams who are going to be participating in this year's rivalry series, the AFC East and the NFC West, will each be unveiling their uniforms on August 28th. The Bills then will be wearing those rival jerseys Week 5 Sunday Night Football at home against New England. The Yankees are acquiring third baseman Ryan McMahon from Colorado for 2 pitching prospects. We are just under a week away from the MLB trade deadline. The Yankees have Philly in town tonight, and the Blue Jays are in Detroit. Both those games get underway just after 7 o'clock. The Mets out west versus San Francisco just after 10. And then the Bisons, they're on the road versus Columbus. 6:30 start time. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water, just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker, and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it. And
the Bulldog
put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mobile rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
How's your appetite right now for uniform news? Are you starving for more? Are you stuffed?
I think uniform news is like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and I'm always hungry.
News.
I'm always, I paid. I'm going to go up again. Uniform news. I'm always ready. I'm always good.
Okay.
I like the little teaser videos today. I didn't watch all of them. I think they were all available. I think every team that is involved in this rivalry series produced some. They all look pretty similar. The 3 or 4 that I watched looked, similar production.
15, 20 seconds each.
Right. And I do think the Patriots video and even the logo and the Bills video and the logo look like they're doing the same things.
Oh, yeah?
A little bit. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I'm curious to see what that looks like put together.
I didn't watch New England. I have a rule.
It looks kind of It's like snowy, and that's the Bills thing. So
the game is Week 5.
Right. It's not going to be snowy.
It shouldn't be. It's happened, but
probably won't.
You'd like to think it won't be. A winter night on October 5th.
Let's bet against that. Yeah, it's a little.
I'd love to. Can Sam tell us how to do that? Bet against snow. Now, that is bold.
Is there a weather gambling app?
There might be. Yeah, I guess. The NFL gets sometimes it's credit and blame at the same time. I mean, it's mostly credit, but you sort of roll your eyes at it maybe, how they just dominate the news. It's almost like every year it's a new quest to take days away from other sports, from other like they've taken over Christmas. No one was really ever thinking about that. The Christmas belonged to the NBA. And then the NFL showed up, and they're just trolling. I mean, we'll put games on Netflix, and we'll still beat you.
Right. Friday nights belong to high school football.
Right.
And Saturdays, for college. But whatever. We're coming in Friday nights. Here we go.
And then the offseason, whether it's the draft or the schedule release and how they sort of drip, 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 release little nuggets about the schedule. Isn't it right? Like it's, I guess, impressive if you're impressed by things like this, but also a little ridiculous. Just like, do we really need? I'm in the meeting now. Do we really need all of this? Do we really have to just sort of bully our way into every day on the calendar? The uniform thing feels a little bit like that, where we're so big and powerful now. we're just going to whip out all these new throwback uniforms and rivalry. What even is the rivalry series? Like, what even is that? It's division games. Okay, so we're going to have another. I'm not against it. It just seems like, I'm ready to leave. You're at the buffet and you're just going to hang out.
You've had enough. You're full.
Until you're going to want to eat again. And I just feel like that. I got to keep my dignity here. And at some point, I'm just going to go home. All right, okay, a fourth helmet.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this how you would do it? One account I follow that's into the uniform scene said something like, couldn't you just, it sounded like the schedule, couldn't you just build up to like a Wednesday night or something and release all the uniforms, or just do, what do we say about the schedule? Either do it that way or do one every day, one game a day for 3 months. I don't know. Much ado about nothing, probably, but my complaint, I don't mean the thing itself.
No, I mean, I share your sentiment. I don't know that I would myself raise it to the level of complaining about it, but yeah, I mean, it is. They're everywhere. They're everything and everywhere all of the time. Like that's what the NFL is striving to do, and an entity that is doing that, is risking hitting a breaking point.
I guess,
but I don't.
How long have we been saying that?
I don't think there is one with this league. Like whatever bad news there ever is, just sort of gets swept away. Concussion lawsuits, the NFLPA falling apart, like whatever it is, just it's over there.
Yeah.
Collusion,
That's right.
Who cares? I think the collusion story is a very interesting and big story for the players in the league, but the fans I don't think really care.
I agree.
Because it's just like, it's illegal mumbo jumbo. They're going to play. They're gonna play. Whatever. I don't need to hear all this. I don't need it. It's minutia. Even though I think it's a pretty significant story for the everyday players in the league, mostly them, more than even I guess the big guys are the ones who are affected by the collusion and the no guaranteed contracts and all that. Maybe more than the rank and file members of the union, but whatever. It's just an example of how the league seems impenetrable to trouble. They have trouble, but it never really seems to matter. They're mostly bulletproof.
It doesn't. You're saying it. It doesn't make me feel good.
No.
I mean,
there's a lot of things in the world that don't make you feel good anymore.
That's right. That's right. And how you process those things is really important and interesting, right? I mean, you don't want to drown in, a cesspool, if you will, of bad news and fear all the time. But you'd also, I don't think, want to ignore it. That doesn't feel right. Neither really feels right. This is just a microcosm. I mean, football is not all that, but just the uniforms. Every day I wake up and it's like a new uniform.
I think it might play a part in fans. I'll even maybe cop to this myself, not feeling like I want to get upset about the league inundating us with announcements and different stuff, and even the bad news being ignored. I think you might want to ignore the bad news because there's enough bad news, like real substantive bad news. And so complaining about something that's making you mad in football,
what a waste.
It might feel kind of like an idiot. This is that's my lane. But I don't know. It just doesn't really. It's not a direct transaction to me. I don't know. I think I'm probably harder to upset about sports stuff.
Yeah, that's probably good. Maybe it was during COVID that there was another realization of this, because wasn't it kind of incredible thinking back 5 years that they played the whole season? All the leagues did, mostly. They played seasons with no crowds. Would you ever have imagined that sports was so dominant a force in society that they would play almost an entire NFL season without people in attendance?
I think maybe the NFL more so than than other sports. I don't remember how I felt at the time or what we said at the time, but we all know that the NFL is not a gate-driven league. So, and they proved it. Like, I mean, I don't know what happened to revenue in the COVID season. I'm sure it took a hit without fans coming to games. But did it seem like the league lost a step at all? I mean, the cap probably was flat for a little bit there, but now it's right back to just going up and up and up. And so, and there's always the, we need you now thing, right? Like we need the distraction. We need get on the field and amuse us, entertain us, take our minds off masks and vaccines and arguing and all the stuff.
All the people who died with COVID would have wanted the NFL to play.
That's a tough way to put it.
Yeah. But that's what they're certainly. I don't remember. They probably did, think that, if not say it at the time. Anyway, I mean, I'm guilty. Don't take away my game days. Like, I feel like I got to have it. I feel like I'm a slave to them. And that doesn't feel good either, but I'm being honest, Mm-hmm. Thursday night football. Thursday night went from kind of a joke, a nuisance, bad matchups, who asked for this, to like a ritual. Almost.
Yeah, I used to yell at you. Oh, yell might be strong, but
make fun of me.
Make fun of you. Like, I don't want to play so much fantasy football that I have to watch this game if it's a horrible game. If it's Jacksonville, Tennessee, and they're terrible and it's pouring, I don't feel like I want to watch this game. Now I stay up till the end of those games. They're better matchups.
Even you.
They are better matchups now, mostly because of Prime, right? So Thursday has become less of like a dumping ground for like all the teams that don't qualify for real night games can get to play on Thursday night football. That's kind of the way that package of games started out. That was the only Bills primetime action we had for a while, was Thursday night. Because they weren't good, they were in a small market, and, nobody's that interested, but, we'll give you this one. You're gonna have some fun. Here's a night game for you. The opponent's not going to be any good either, but here, have it.
I've just checked the schedule, and I believe the first Thursday night game that you will tell us you are skipping is in Week 11.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
I don't know. I haven't skipped one in a while, but I don't know. We'll see.
Week 1 is different. I mean, that's NBC,
sure, right.
Dallas, Philadelphia. Week 2 is Washington at Green Bay.
I'm watching that.
I'm so in.
All of it.
Week 3 is Dolphins, Bills.
Gunpoint.
I think you're going to watch that game. You might even go to it. 4 is Seattle, Arizona.
Now, are they going to be wearing? Is that the date for those?
I don't know. Maybe
I want to see the desert-colored Cardinal uniforms.
You're so
I'm curious.
afflicted that you'll tune in for the clothes.
Yes.
It might as well be Project Runway you're tuning in to watch on that Thursday night of Week 4.
Sure.
That's a tester. Without the uniforms, maybe you skip Kyler Murray versus Sam Darnold. Week 5, Niners, Rams.
Yep.
6, Eagles, Giants.
Yes.
Sure. 7, Bengals hosting Pittsburgh.
Never going to miss that.
Never going to miss that game. This is Thursday nights. 8, Minnesota at the Chargers.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah. Maybe I've seen J.J. McCarthy by then, but, whatever. There's a standalone game for J.J. McCarthy.
Week 1, they're on Monday night. You'll see him on the Monday night opener. Week 9, Baltimore at Miami. Of course.
Yep.
Week 10, Raiders, Broncos.
Classic.
Every time.
Yep.
Week 11, Jets, Patriots. That's when I think you get the check. If that game were earlier, like last year, wasn't that Week 3? Week 2 was Bills, Miami, and then Week 3 was Jets, Patriots at the Jets with Rodgers. And I think you were like, nope, I hate this so much. The Jets beat New England. Anyway, that's the game you might miss. Then 12 is Bills again at Houston.
Okay.
13 is Thanksgiving. Then just to finish it up, Dallas at Detroit. Yes.
That's a winner.
Atlanta at Tampa. That was the best game of the year last year when they met in Atlanta. I don't know. You don't have to say yes to that one.
No, that'll look like I like Michael Penix Jr., even though I don't like the Falcons. He's going to make me like the Falcons. Them wearing the uniforms they're wearing against the Bills is going to make me like the Falcons.
Red helmets.
Red helmets. They look nice.
16, Rams at Seattle. And then 17 is all bets are off. So there's Thursday night schedule. That's a point. It's good.
It is a good. That is not. There's only a couple of games in there to me that don't sound even that interesting. But even Jets Patriots is a division game. How what kind of year are the Patriots having? I think I'm going to want to watch Drake May play almost every time he plays if I get a chance, because he's the guy that I think is coming for the Bills the most. That's the team, and mostly because of him and the coach. I think they're going to be the team that you're going to see in the mirror behind you first at this point. I think they have an opportunity this year to supplant Miami as that team. And so I'm going to want to watch that as it develops, I think.
Week 1, Raiders at New England. That's a Sunday 1 o'clock. I'm guessing we're going to get Pittsburgh at the Jets.
That's probably right.
But the other one's good, too. So is Cleveland at Cincinnati. Or Cincinnati at Cleveland, rather. So ready for Week 1. So ready for Sam Panayotovich today at 3:30. I watched his show a few days this week on BetMGM Network, Bet Sweats. And at one point yesterday or the day before, he said, it is football season now. They did a lot of college predicting this week. But I know, not that we've ever had to drag him.
Right.
But last week I said to him, Sam, the hot dogs have been eaten. I mean, let's get into some futures bets here.
The majors are over.
The majors are even over.
It's not last week when you talked to him, obviously, but still.
But he hadn't watched a minute of the PGA, or the Open, rather, last week. We talked about it for a while, but he hadn't watched any of it. So we'll talk to Sam here coming up. Sal, with his reports from Bills camp today and yesterday a little bit, got the downfield passing attack senses tingling, I would say. Yesterday with intermediate stuff, and then he's tweeting about this pass to Kincaid and this pass to Elijah Moore, maybe it was. Okay. And it makes me wonder, and this is a conversation to have with Sal, I think, and we can always have it, is if the Bills offensively want to be different or just better, or just more varied, right? That was not a strength of their team last year.
No.
And you'd want to work on things that shouldn't come easy.
Yeah.
I wonder if they want to change their identity at all. I was on with Andrew Filipponi on his FanDuel show today and was mostly talking about fantasy football, but when Mahomes' name came up, he asked me about Mahomes as a pick. And I said, the Chiefs are maybe closer, I would guess, to being a team that does want to change how they're playing. I'm thinking of Davis Maddock on my podcast with him Tuesdays, ADP Chasing, is hopefully, he's a Chiefs fan. He said, hopefully that Super Bowl finally was the punch in the face they needed, where they're just realizing they can't get away with that anymore. But I don't know. Why should defense be different? Why should defenses be different against these teams? Because that's where it started.
Right.
Is teams giving teams like Kansas City and Buffalo just less of a chance to hit them over the top. So go ahead and let's see your 12-play matriculating the ball down the field stuff. And, the Bills were able to do it. The Bills smartly shifted to a bigger offense, right? And they were able to run it and make teams pay for that strategy. I don't know, is there any reason to think that'll change?
I don't think it will change. I don't think they want to change who they are, but I definitely, this wire got tripped for me yesterday, and you're re-tripping it now, bringing it up. Brady, the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, was talking yesterday about how every year, and coach speak, whatever, a lot of this you can just put in a blender and drink it. It's going to taste the same as the thing you had last week or last year. But, you got to evolve. You got to do things differently than you were doing them, or at least, augment what you're doing, maybe conceal what you were doing last year in some different clothes or whatever it is. But it would stand to reason to me. It's not surprising given his comments and what the point you just made about their passing offense and how not downfield it was. Only so much of that I think you want to give up and throw up your hands and go well, they're playing us this way. I guess I'm trapped. And then you got to try to find a way. There's always that give and take and that reaction and the reaction to the reaction and make an adjustment. The thing the Bills should be trying to unlock is 20 air yard passing game. It was not good last year. It was terrible for the Chiefs, too. I seen Greg Cosell a few times on Ross Tucker's podcast this week. It just popped up in my feed at different times, making a point about how Mahomes was worst in the league in downfield passing last year.
Yeah.
Which is kind of incredible for who he is, and that's the point your friend Davis Maddock is making. Like, hopefully they realize they need to really do something about this. I mean, the Bills are not there because as bad off as Kansas City may have been, but I still think you want to have that be a part of who you are and make teams, like if you think you can exploit, like the Bills really did, with big personnel and the running the ball and throwing it out of heavier formations and stuff that they did and were effective and 30 points a game and all that, I think you still want to threaten teams, make them stay in that. And we're going to find other ways to exploit you and find open field out there. It might not be, over your head necessarily, but intermediate doesn't have to be taken away to me by like a too high safety shell. There's a lot of room in the middle of the field if you're playing in that. You just got to find a way to unlock it. You got to find guys that can separate too. And I don't know
We're still looking
where the Bills are on that quest. We'll see what kind of impact a healthy Curtis Samuel maybe has in that. Elijah Moore, if he makes the team, has in that. And Josh Palmer, who's also new.
Josh Allen at FanDuel for the year, 3,775.5 passing yards is the line. It'd be higher than last year. It also, those lines also presume
missing games.
Well, I don't know if it's right to say they presume that. I mean, it often happens. I feel like it should be about 14 games you would expect for like the average guy. I mean, Allen, of course, is on a durability streak, but that's, not a lot, but a little higher than last year.
Yeah, I think he finished with 30. What is the number? Because he's 37-31 is the number from last year.
Right. This one is 37.75.
Okay, right.
But that one last year was his lowest in 5 years. Think about that. I do a lot. The MVP had his lowest
right.
passing output in, since he got good. Also that Bo Nix outdid him in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and completion percentage as a rookie. I don't think Allen was undeserving. It's just sort of amazing that you could win in a league like this with what Jackson did, with what Burrow did, and then, Nix and others. It's kind of amazing you could win with those stats, but he did. Cutting down on the interceptions, losing Diggs, we've been all over it.
Yep.
Contributed to the narrative. And, of course, his rushing. And that number for this year is 500.5 yards, which is a little bit lower than where he's been. That's interesting, maybe. That would be his lowest in 5 years.
Yeah. It stands the reason you might want to start fading that at some point in his career, right? Like, not expecting it to just smash. I mean, you're also, if fans want to hammer the over, maybe that'll change. I don't know, but we talk all the time about when is it going to happen, and sometimes I think when I talk about it, it sounds like I might know, or like I think it's still not here yet. The truth is, it's going to happen at some point, and maybe we won't see it coming. It just will. It just won't be as effective as it was. He'll lose a step, as he gets older, and at some point, and I want to think that that's still 2 or 3 years down the road, but I don't know. It could come at any moment, I suppose.
Sam Panayotovich coming up. We'll talk some more props and futures and football stuff with Sam, among other things. We usually bounce around. Sal at 4 and at 5 today, Mike Dempsey, football diehards, and also a host in Jacksonville. Mike perhaps from having been on with us a number of times. And it seems rare that the Jaguars are not on the Bills' schedule this year. It feels like they always are, but, I mean, not really. But they are not a Bills opponent in 2025. Regular season, at least. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Thanks for listening on this Friday. Back with Sammy P. after this break on WGR. Justin Jefferson out for now with what's being called mild hamstring sprain. He missed the end of practice yesterday. Is that a biggie? Biggie? No biggie?
I'm reading strain. It sounded like you said sprain, not to freak anybody out there, but we had the whole carted off.
What's worse?
I think sprain would be worse than a strain.
Okay. Can you sprain a muscle anyway? I misspoke. Strain it is. When he comes back, who knows, but it might not be until week 1. Right? I mean, would you play Justin Jefferson in the preseason anyway?
Well,
alone
no. It's just like new receivers here we talk about. They're going to do their work in practice. Allen's not going to play a lot in the preseason, so they're going to have to figure out what they're doing and what the pecking order is with everybody, in these joint practices and the regular practices. And I would think the same would go for Minnesota whenever he's healthy again. I wouldn't put him on the field in a preseason game.
Wonder, and I know you are wondering as well, what happens to his ADP, Jefferson? Right now he goes second or third all the time. Right now, I did it again. Sam Panayotovich in our presence, in my presence, and here I am talking about fantasy football. Well, I guess I do have the addiction. On the Wester Hotline is Sam Panayotovich, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. Sam and Joe Ostrowski host Bet Sweats weekday mornings 9 to noon. Sam was on with Kate Constable today, if you want to check that out on the Odyssey app. And I'm pleased to announce that Joe will be on our show again this football season. Thursdays is what it's been. So Joe on Thursdays and Sam on Fridays. Can't get enough of you guys.
I appreciate that. I can also inform you guys that I am playing hurt, much like Justin Jefferson. I am still dealing with abdominal trauma from my 2 a.m. Burger King order the other night.
I believe that.
I think I do believe that.
I don't have any trouble believing that.
That can take a couple of days, maybe. Sam, I
woke up the next morning, man, 7:45. I beat the alarm up. I was like, oh, Lord, there's a brick in my body, and I did it to myself. It's the worst feeling in the world, that late night fast food that you don't even remember ordering. Oh, nothing like it.
And when you do it that's going to happen.
Yeah, you're counting on it. It's a part of the attraction, maybe. I don't know. Some sick way. I don't know.
Somehow it is. Sam, on your show this morning, you did one of my favorite things. I didn't see what sparked it, but it probably was the throwback uniforms. Looking up Pro Football Reference type pages from a century ago. And, seeing 0-0 ties and games just not being played for some reason. What did we have recently, Bulldog? Tonawanda, one team that played one game ever.
And they folded yeah, right.
That's a fun one.
So that always happens when we have a fill-in host and the guest is late. There's always that panic in the back of your mind, like, where is this going to go? So the reason we did that is because one of our guests was a little late, and that was the guest that was yawning during his hit this morning. I don't know if you caught that,
I didn't. No.
Yeah, it's the summer, baby. Everybody's asleep. So Kate comes back, and we're trying to just punt until we get the guest on, and she's like, did you see those new Packers uniforms? And I'm like, no. So then I'm Googling on the fly new Packers uniforms, which kicks me to an NFL.com release. Apparently, they're going to wear the 1923 Acme Packers uniforms this year.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just breezing. I'm just trying to grab anything I can find, and I eventually get to the Wikipedia page for the 1923 Green Bay Packers season, and the final scores, guys, are a joke. 12-0, 3-0, 10-0, 10-7. There's a 0-0 tie against the St. Louis All-Stars. The football was very bad, and I assure you it was very, very white back in 1923.
What would betting have been like? I mean,
I don't know. The totals would be like 7.5.
Right. Will there be a touchdown? Might have been about an even money bet in the game. Or will there be points? It's like betting soccer or something. Well, yeah, I mean, hats off. Belated congrats to Curly Lambeau's 23 Packers on a fine season.
Sam, yawning is nothing. When I worked mornings here at this station, we had the great Emmanuel Stewart, boxing announcer and boxing trainer on, and I mean, I don't have the audio to prove this.
You don't need it.
I am positive that he was going to the bathroom at one point during our number one, but still, you could hear it, and it was plain as day. And my partner and I were just looking at each other, going like, and we turned the mics off. Is he? Yeah. I think okay. All right. We just kind of kept going, but it was.
So did he?
Yes. So did he. Yes. Finished her off.
We had a guy on once. This is years ago. I was living in Vegas, hosting with a buddy of mine named Matt Humans at VEASAN at the time. This is 2018 or 19, and we had a guest that I don't know how. I guess he was just in the trance of being on the radio and being on the phone, and he didn't realize what he was doing on the side. So he's talking. We had him on about 3-4 minutes, and then at the 5-minute mark, as he's wrapping up one of his answers, you hear a toilet flush. And it's as loud as the toilet somehow took over his voice. So you just hear, and then Humans and I just lose it. I mean, how do you keep a straight face when your guest is literally on the toilet on the show?
Yeah, at least the thing I'm talking about was maybe like very early 2000s. So like phone technology. I don't know if you notice this on your shows. I hear it all the time on ours when we talk to people on cell phones, and you can hear their turn signals clicking. Now the phones are so good now. Maybe Emmanuel Stewart, in his defense, thought like, the phone won't pick this up.
Or he didn't care.
Right.
He had to go. Simple as that. So did Sam's guy. With Sam Panayotovich here on WGR, do you have NFL awards lines handy?
I do, yes.
What's the better bet? Travis Hunter to win Offensive Player of the Year or Travis Hunter to win Defensive Player of the Year?
Do you want rookie here or player?
Rookie. Sorry, rookie. Right. Thank you. Rookie.
I wish they had one award because I don't really like either of them. Now, a guy that I know who's close to Jacksonville says the fact that they took him as high as they did and brought in Liam Cohen, conventional wisdom would tell you that they're going to use him more on offense, but I just don't know the split. And, if you take a guy and you play him 35 snaps on offense and 30 snaps on defense, are those snaps good enough to get him over the top? I don't know. I mean, you did ask me A or B, so I guess I would go offense. But then we had a guest on yesterday, Evan Silva, who says he thinks Ashton Genty is going to lead the league in touches. So it's a very good question. I don't know that I have a good answer for you. I'm inclined to think he gets more offensive snaps because that's what Liam Cohen comes from. Of course, he's in that Shanahan-McVay tree, so they're going to try and use him all over the field, guys. But I don't know that I would make that bet on either side. Of the two, I'd lean offense, but because we don't have a Rookie of the Year in totality, we split it offense and defense. I don't think he's winning either one. I don't think he's going to play enough.
If they were combined, he would be the favorite?
He'd be minus 500.
Okay, heavy favorite. What are the odds on offense and defense, if you know?
So your favorite for offense is Genty, and then it's Cam Ward. Those are the two guys around 3-1, depending on where you look. And then, good grief, my guy Omari on Hampton, who I remember talking about on this show at 16-1. DraftKings has 750 on him right now. Other books have about 10, 12. So, look, there's a lot to like about a Harbaugh running back in year one, and this is a guy who's a home run hitter and a 3-down back, and it also helps my bet that Najee Harris was blowing off fireworks in his face on the 4th of July. So, because Najee was supposed to be the guy who came into camp, like the guy to beat, and I don't know that he's in good flavor right now in Los Angeles. So, look, Hampton to me at 16 was a bet. At 10, I still think it could be worth a bet. I don't love 10 when you could have bet 16. But those are your three heavy hitters, Genty, Ward, and Hampton. And then on defense, it's Abdul Carter, and then everybody else. So Carter's like 2-1, 2.25, and then Travis Hunter's 10-1. So a big gap there on defense.
Hampton is still a great idea, I think. I know there's always, like you were talking about Apple stock the other day, there's always what I could have had it at.
Right, it's still a pretty nice number, though.
Yeah, the Harris thing, fantasy is in love with Hampton right now. As soon as the Harris news came out, And then it was kind of weird what was actually the case with him. He's on the field. You can't really see his face. The coach has been kind of vague about it. It all sets up for Hampton to be week 1 starter. I mean, easily. And if he's good, that's a great offense and a great coach for him to have. And, Genty's on the Raiders. Like, it's pretty – if Genty and Ward aren't great, then Hampton's in great shape to win that award, I would say. So 10-1 sounds pretty good to me.
I just think you have to look at how Harbaugh is going to operate with the offensive coordinator in tow. They are going to be a run-first team. Yes, they have Justin Herbert, but they are going to use this kid potentially as the focal point of their offense, and he comes into a really good spot. I mean, look at the way that they've built that offensive line the last few years. I mean, they have multiple guys they believe are going to be Pro Bowlers. You got Slater at left tackle from Northwestern, Joe Alt from Notre Dame at right tackle. They went, first round there. They like Zion Johnson at center. They bring in Becton, who was blocking for Barkley in Philly. I mean, this is a very good line. This is a top 10 line, if not better. And, Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman are going to run the ball, which will open up the passing game with Justin Herbert. So that is a run-first head coach and really has been for a long time, despite being a quarterback in the NFL.
I realize that this might be pretty far down the board, but I've been seeing a lot of juice on Ezeraku, the pass rusher in Dallas, second-round pick. Is he on the board for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Oh, yeah. I see a 25-1 at one book. Oh, geez, I got to spell that name in my prop shop. Good luck. Holy crap, man. Ezeiruaku. Can I buy a vowel? Let me just talk here. You guys talk, and I'll look him up. You guys just talk, and I'll type his name in.
Always back to Dallas when Sam is on.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm intrigued by them, and anything that sort of pushes me in a direction to like the fact that I have them to win the division in this 8-team parlay that Sam and I put together a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
And there's an opening there. I mean, they lost the other edge guy, and, he's not at the top of the depth chart or anything. He's outranked right now, but I just wonder if that's a guy that, might flash. He seems like he's flashing early in camp. Did we talk long enough?
He is as high... Yeah, you did. I had it actually 5 seconds in. All I had to do was type in EZE, and he was the only one that populated.
Right.
EZE. All right.
Yeah, RIP, baby, with his White Sox hat on. Defensive Rookie of the Year, 25-1 is your high side, and then there's a 22-1 at BetMGM. But it's basically a $3 range, 22, 22, 24, 25, 25. Look, it's usually a guy who gets to the quarterback. That's certainly the way it goes. I mean, let's go back to 2018. Shaq Leonard, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, Micah Parsons, Sauce Gardner, there's a corner, then Will Anderson and Jared Verse. It's a guy that gets to the quarterback more years than not.
Sam, what's hot right now in terms of NFL futures? Is there something that you've seen market movement or that you keep hearing or reading about that people are into? It's still so long before the season starts. But what do you think is trendy?
Oh, the trendiest thing in football is Ben Johnson, Coach of the Year, which I would not bet as a Chicago kid who was a Bears fan for a long time until he had to cover the Bears and realized, wow, this is a dysfunctional team. I'm not betting 7-1. And this happens every offseason in Chicago. The hype is just cyclical. I mean, last year, Matt Eberflus was the favorite to be Coach of the Year, and he should have been fired on Thanksgiving. So, depending on where you look, one book has Vrabel favored, a couple others have Johnson favored. I mean, I'm reading the reports out of Chicago. It's like, Caleb Williams is throwing picks. The offense isn't lining up correctly. Ben Johnson's screaming at the ones, and it's just, I would never do it. And another thing that we had Silva on yesterday, Evan Silva, I thought he made a great point because the narrative around Ben Johnson is that he is the answer. He is the next coming of Christ to some people in Chicago. And he was kind of the reason they lost that playoff game because they started running receiver reverses and, passes to the left tackle, and they got really, really cute, and they got away from Jahmyr Gibbs. And now it's just like this locked decision that he's going to solve Caleb Williams. And I do not think that's the case. There are going to be a lot of growing pains there. This is a quarterback learning his essentially third offense in less than a calendar year. Because this time last year, he's working under Shane Waldron. Then Waldron gets fired, so they learn the Thomas Brown offense, and now he's learning Ben Johnson's offense. So it's just the Bears hype every year, only to be explained by Ben Johnson being favored to win Coach of the Year with a team that's always on the rise of being a sneaky team. And I just laugh every year. The Bears are going to win 7 games, and Ben Johnson will not win Coach of the Year.
That award is so hinges on expectations. And I wonder what the voters would do with the Bears and the Patriots, who both have high picks at quarterback going into year 2. Like, I think a big Caleb Williams year or a big Drake May year, that could go either way. That could be like give the coach credit or it's about the player. When you have an established Jacksonville might be interesting here. Liam Cohen, I'm seeing, is the third choice, at least in one sports book. And what is Trevor Lawrence? Would he get? I think he would. I think he would get a lot of credit for elevating Trevor Lawrence if he can do it, even though that's another guy. I mean, he's not that much older, right, but also a first overall pick. This Browns coach keeps winning because he's nowhere at that position, and the Browns aren't even good.
They play 6 guys, and he makes the playoffs anyways.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's always a big part of the evaluation for that award. And I think both the Bears and Patriots coaches are well respected in their own ways. But they also have big talent at quarterback that should, make it easier for them than it would for other guys.
We did this segment, I want to say last November, December. Joe and I went back and looked at all the guys who won Coach of the Year and basically what the team was supposed to be before the season. As we know, guys, it's not the best coach of the best team.
Right.
It's like Andy Reid, Sean McDermott. Those guys get docked because they're coaching good teams. Andy Reid's won Coach of the Year one time. That's a travesty. I mean, he's the best coach in the league right now, I think. And last time he won it, the only time he won it was 2022. But usually it's a guy who takes over a team that won, 4 or 5 games, has a win total of 6.5, and then that team wins 10. Like Brian Daboll is a perfect example of that. He comes to New York. New York was bad. They flirted with 10 wins, and he won the Coach of the Year. Kevin O'Connell takes over a team that isn't good, turns them into a playoff team. So you really have to find the coach of the team that's supposed to be bad that ends up being good and wins close to 10 games. Those are sort of the parameters of what NFL Coach of the Year has turned into. Like, for example, Sean McDermott right now to win Coach of the Year is 50-1. And my comment to that is, what do the Bills have to do for him to win? Do they have to go 17-0?
Close.
16-1 maybe, yeah, right.
Close.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep. The answer for that, I mean, I understand. I see it the same way you do. Carolina's guy is interesting then. Dave Canales, who has a good reputation. He has already gotten credit for kind of saving Bryce Young. And if that takes a step forward in what could be a weak division, 10, 11 wins, he would qualify. I think he's somebody that voters would want to support.
Yeah, and he checks that big box. I think the biggest box in that market, NFL Coach of the Year, is you want to bet a guy who takes a non-playoff team to become a playoff team. So, let's throw Dan Quinn out because the Commanders made the playoffs last year. Dan Quinn is 40-1. You're looking in that wheelhouse of Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Aaron Glenn, Dave Canales.
Say Brian Schottenheimer's name. I want to get back to Dallas.
Schottenheimer, 25-30-1. Yep, exactly. That's what you need. You need to find the right horse that takes the team from a non-playoff team to the playoffs.
Aaron Glenn, you mentioned. Pete Carroll. All right. So is it all? It's not all NFL in there. You're doing baseball every day, college football too. But next week, Sam, the Hall of Fame game.
Oh, I'm ready, buddy. In fact, you'll love this. We have a guy from Chicago. I've known him 15 years. He only does this for the Hall of Fame game. He calls it the suicide teaser. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So it's a 10-point monster teaser where he comes in every year Hall of Fame game and he teases both sides and both totals. So he's butterflying the Hall of Fame game. So, the example, Detroit and L.A. Chargers, it's a pick 'em. So he's got the Lions plus 10 and the Chargers plus 10. And then the total is 33, so he's got over 23 and under 43. He does it every year for the Hall of Fame game.
I bet he wins. A lot of those games seem pretty much the same. 17-13, just close and boring.
Pretty well.
I bet he
does pretty well with it.
I can believe it. All right, Sam. Well, excited to talk to you again today. What have you got going on this weekend?
I'm going to see Ohtani pitch. He's coming to Fenway Sunday.
That's good.
Giddy up. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's right. That series begins tonight, right? Who's going? Do you know who's going tonight? I haven't looked.
Yeah, it's Bayo and this guy named Emmett Sheehan. I thought I misread it as Ed Sheeran this morning, but it's not Ed Sheeran starting for the Dodgers. It's Emmett Sheehan against Brian Bayo.
Yep. Very good. Enjoy that and the game on Sunday, and thanks for your time again today.
Thank you, guys. Go Bills, and most importantly, Bulldog, go Cowboys.
Sure.
Most importantly. Right on. Sam Panayotovich.
What has happened to my life?
Odyssey Sports Betting Insider. I don't know. I'm not going to go looking. I could. That day when you and I did the 8-team division thing, I thought I placed one or two of those, but
don't seem to know where they are.
Yeah. Right. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't because I did want to learn more about what was causing the odds to flip.
Yeah, right.
It seemed like they were doing it counterintuitively.
Yeah.
The favorite was winning you more, but I never did that. This is how I am with everything.
Oh, I should look into that.
That's right. That's where it ends.
Oh, underdog.
Underdog. Yep. Oh, I'm on the clock in 11 drafts. I have to do that now.
For me, it's there's a guitar over there. I'll just do that for a while.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't need to be placing all these losing bets.
Or spending all this time researching.
If I'm not going to bet it, what a waste. Odyssey Sports, BetMGM Insider, Sam Panayotovich. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. For all of your betting needs, check out the newly rebranded BetMGM Network on the Odyssey app. And again, Sam with Joe Ostrowski, weekday mornings 9 to noon on the Bet 1520. Sal is next. We've got a hint at another Bills uniform, rivalry game, Week 5 against New England. There's that. I've got one thing to bring up with Sal as far as that goes. We'll find out how practice went and get into some different Bills topics next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Happy Friday. This is WGR.
The first week of Bills training camp is in the books. The team will have off tomorrow. They'll be back, though, on the field on Sunday. Today, A.J. Epinesa ankle, Dorian Williams calf did not practice, and they add to a growing injury list early. Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, Cedric Van Pran Granger, and Laviska Shenault also not practicing due to injuries. We'll get more, though, on today. Sal Capaccio joins the show next. And coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel & Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealer for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Uniform news also released earlier this morning. 8 teams who will be participating in this year's rivalry series each have their dates of when they will be unveiling those uniforms. It's the AFC East and the NFC West this year, and it'll be August 28th. The Bills then will be wearing those rivalry jerseys Week 5, Sunday Night Football at home against New England. And Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson dealing with a mild hamstring strain. He's going to be reevaluated next week, according to head coach Kevin O'Connell. The Yankees acquired third baseman Ryan McMahon from Colorado for 2 pitching prospects. The MLB trade deadline is next week. While tonight, the Yankees have Philly in town and the Blue Jays are in Detroit. Both games will get underway just after 7. The Mets out west versus San Francisco just after 10 o'clock. And the Bisons, they are on the road versus Columbus at 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Let's go. Happy Friday. The Bills wrapping up their third day of practice at training camp, off tomorrow. Sal Capaccio with us now. Is tomorrow then also an off day for you, Sal?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, from work. Another baseball game to be a part of. I'll be here in Buffalo, and then I'll be heading back either. Haven't decided yet if I'm going back to Fisher tomorrow night or Sunday morning, but I got to be back there bright and early Sunday for sure.
You're painting a pretty good picture these last 2 days, at least, of a kind of a threatening downfield Bills offense. I don't mean to sound surprised. I'm aware they have the literal MVP at quarterback. I mean, there were years when we might have made that into a bigger story, that they were sort of, it was working down the field. But is that the right way to put it? You've been tweeting and writing about some highlights.
Yeah, I think so. And I would say today, Mike, they really just kind of used the whole field, right? Today was a day that was just more of a broader type of offense. It wasn't as situational maybe as the last couple of days where we had red zone or third down and things like that. Today was a little bit more of using the entire field. And I thought that, again, today, a nice day to get the ball down the field a few different times. I think Joshua Palmer was the guy I wrote about today who really the connections started happening. It's great. Like when you see one day it's one guy, one day it's another guy. It was Curtis Samuel yesterday, Joshua Palmer, and Keon Coleman, I think, starting to ramp up a little bit here and getting some balls thrown his way. So I thought Joshua today was a really good connection. And by the way, Josh Allen, he was just great the first 7-on-7. We were, a few media members were on the sidelines going, are you kidding? He is just throwing seeds and putting it in the exact right spot. And I think he had maybe 7 or 8 of those, and then suddenly he threw one that seemed like maybe a miscommunication. Couldn't tell exactly what happened. Taylor Rapp had the interception. That was it. That was really the first and only mistake.
Yeah. It makes sense that they would be – we talked about this at the outset of our show today, that they would be trying to – I don't know if redevelop is maybe too strong, that part of their passing game, because I feel like, Sal, defenses are taking it away. I think a lot of the time that's the case, but teams aren't always in the same defense, I don't think. So you got to know when you can fire your shot, shoot your shot, and being ready to capitalize on that, I think, is important. It's a facet of their offense that was kind of lacking last year, as good as they were. They were great on offense last year, but they did not have much downfield.
It's amazing, right? You think about how great their offense was, how many points they scored, and, yeah, they had to really kind of sustain drives more than get the ball downfield in one play. And when they tried, it just didn't happen. If you go back 2 years ago, that's the same thing. Josh and Stephon Diggs, just remember how many times they were so close but they couldn't connect on a downfield pass, and Josh really hasn't had that downfield passing game come together for him in a couple of years. So I do think it's an area where they want to get better. I do think it's an area that they wanted to specifically target a couple of players. Joshua Palmer. Now, Joshua Palmer isn't the blazing, burning guy downfield, but he's very good at separation in his own right. He's a one-on-one man beater, and that can allow you to get downfield better. And then we know Elijah Moore can be that guy as well. So I do think that it's something they want to do a little bit more of, and they definitely want to be better at.
You also had a Kincaid highlight today, and for as many times we've talked about him, do you see the Bills making like the requisite effort to get him down the field more himself? I mean, not just the offense overall, but Kincaid, not with exactly the motive of, you've spent the number one pick on him like they did. I'm not thinking that they would be of that mind. But still, you've got a talent here. You want to have him healthy. Maybe we're there now. Is more of a downfield to Kincaid strategy going to be a part of this?
Yeah, I think so, Mike. And we can actually use his play as our best of the day today in a minute when we talk about it, because that was the best thing I saw today. But just in him in general, I don't think they want to force him being on the field. You'd love for him to be on the field. I think it's got to come first from him. Whereas he's healthy, he's making a difference, he's a matchup guy that they really want to rely on. I look at the tight end room a lot of the way I look at the running back room, which is you have this really talented guy, which he should be in Dalton Kincaid, just like you kind of do in James Cook. And I understand I'm not comparing the two players necessarily to each other, but overall, you also have guys behind them who can play a little bit. Dawson Knox has done a nice job. Right? He's not necessarily what Ty Johnson brings to the running back group, but he's a guy that you feel comfortable with, putting in a lot of different situations. And then they go out and get Jackson Hawes. I think Jackson Hawes really could help unlock Dalton Kincaid, and that is because he can play a little bit more. They can really lean into that 12 personnel they want to use, and they've wanted to use for a couple of years. And if he's on the field and the team has to get a little bit bigger because they see 12 personnel, now you have Dalton Kincaid out there who might be a bit of a matchup for a safety, because a team had to go a little bit bigger than they wanted to because they see 12 personnel. And Jackson Hawes, even though he's got a tight end number, he's out there to block, and you have to respect that.
Poor Zach Davidson. I feel like he is completely blocked, right? I mean, he's Kincaid, right? Pretty similar style player, right? Not someone that they're looking for as an inline blocker. I'm not saying he couldn't do it or, if called on, but it's not what he's best at. He's sort of like, I don't know, dollar store Kincaid, it feels like. And I don't know, that guy probably doesn't get a uniform.
Agreed. He could make a nice practice squad career for a number of years and getting, a nice little salary to play NFL football, and that's great. But ultimately, you want a shot to play on the field if you can. And, I've always been impressed with him during training camp and during preseason because the guy just has great, great hands. But he's slight, and he's not very heavily built, and he's not going to help you in the running game. And I think that's the issue with, Dalton Kincaid, as we know, whereas can you help in the running game? Can you get bigger and stronger? Can you withstand the rigors of the NFL? So I agree with you. And, the other guy is Quentin Morris, who's gone. Quentin Morris was a big part of this team over the last few years. He actually played in some situational football for them, mainly at special teams, but he could play in a pinch. And there were times where he had to get on the field, but, he's no longer on the team. That was one of the only real losses they had. It was the wide receivers, Matt Collins and Amari Cooper, and it was Quentin Morris, really. That was all from the entire offense. So that's where Jackson Hawes come into play. But you're right about Zach Davidson. I agree. Poor Zach Davidson. Maybe his shot – the guy was a punter in college, too, by the way. He's a really good athlete. Maybe his shot just has to come with another team down the road.
The rare tight end / punter. Central Missouri State, by the way, Zach Davidson. Well, we were on Kincaid. You already gave us the tease. The best play of training camp today brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, Josh Allen, 11 on 11. Dalton Kincaid. He's running basically like a fade / corner pattern down the left sideline. You see the ball in the air. You see Kincaid. He's tracking it. It's going to get there. Like, I could see from my vantage point about 20 yards away, like, okay, this is a good pass. Like, he has a chance at this ball. But Cam Lewis was right there. Cam Lewis, I think, has had a really strong start here the first few days. and he's just Mr. Steady, as you guys know, but he's not the biggest guy, right? Dalton's got some height on him. He's one of the smaller DBs. Cam is in great position, but it didn't matter. That ball was just thrown perfectly over the shoulder, the left shoulder it would be for Dalton Kincaid, who comes down with it. Guys, Cam Lewis goes to the ground as he's trying to make the play, and they both went to the ground. They weren't trying to tackle. It's just the way the play develops. And right after it, Cam Lewis gets up, looks at Dalton Kincaid with the ball in his hand, and just shakes his head as if, I cannot believe he made that play.
Right. Speaking of Cam Lewis, there's a couple of rookie defensive backs here on the depth chart, and I wonder if Lewis should be looking over his shoulder, hearing footsteps, however you want to put it. They're not exactly we'll see how versatile they are, because that is Cam Lewis's calling card, right? But Jordan Hancock and Dorian Strong, I don't want to confuse the two. I see Strong listed as a boundary corner and Hancock as a free safety. One of those two is being used in a variety of ways, though, similar to Lewis. Is he not?
Yeah, that is Jordan Hancock. Jordan Hancock, when he was drafted, immediately you're like, oh, this is Cam Lewis. He's exactly what Cam Lewis is. He is a nickel corner and a safety. And they have, from the jump, they've been telling us, we're going to use him in both places. We just have to figure out where he fits best and where to use him most. So there's a number of different ways you can go about this, Bulldog. It's a really great conversation and discussion because Cam Lewis has been so valuable to them at safety and at nickel corner. You don't want to lose that, but at the same time, if you have a really younger guy, went to Ohio State, good player, he can play both, you could say, okay, well, guess what? It's time to move on. It's time to go younger. But at the same time, I believe, and I think this is how it might shake out, where they may say, look, instead of having these guys train at both spots, we can keep them versatile, but why doesn't Cam just become our main backup nickel and he can play special teams? And Jordan Hancock is a main backup safety where we don't have to put more on his plate. And then he can gain a little bit more on his plate as we go. I think there's room for both guys on this team. I really do. That doesn't guarantee it. There's only a finite number of spots, and it's a crowded defensive back room. Dorian Strong is mainly a boundary corner, but he can also play a little bit inside, and he says he prides himself on being able to do those things. The guy is he's a bigger dude. He's built he looks like an NFL corner. His dad, Dorian Strong's dad, is a professional bodybuilder and weightlifter.
Can't be bad.
It's the guy who knows his way around a weight room, you would assume. I wonder if maybe Dane Jackson is the guy that's hearing footsteps when you say his name.
You know what, Bulldog? I did a projected 53 recently, and I have to be honest, I didn't have Dane Jackson on. I think it's a numbers game, and that's not because I don't think Dane Jackson can play. I think he can. But who are you? Are you going to release Dorian Strong and subject him to waivers? That's a tough call to make. How can you do that? You're not releasing Jordan Hancock. You have Tre'Davious White. You have Max Hairston. Jamarcus Ingram and Dane Jackson, to me, could be fighting for one spot, but Jamarcus Ingram is versatile. He plays inside, he plays outside. The thing about Jamarcus Ingram is he can play safety, and he can play dime safety, and he's done that. Boy, that's really valuable for this team to be able to come in and play that role, right? And he took over for Cam Lewis, or when Christian Benford was hurt, and they had to go through a couple guys. I'm sorry, maybe not Benford, but a couple guys were hurt over this year, and Damar Hamlin, and boy, Jamarcus Ingram played a nice role for them. So it is a crowded defensive back room. There's not enough spots for everybody, and I agree with you. I think Dane Jackson could be the guy at the end of the day who's maybe on the outside looking in.
And by
the way, Damar Hamlin, for that matter.
Right.
Damar Hamlin could be a guy that, at the end of the day, where does he fit? Derek Forrest was signed, and I think they like him as a backup safety. But if you're putting Jordan Hancock there, you have Cam Lewis. Where do these spots come from?
Further complicating numbers in the secondary is that their primary returner is a corner as well. That I don't know. I know he played the finale, but it's not a guy that gets snaps as a corner. He's here to return kicks, and you already have an overcrowded room there. That could be challenging.
Yeah, that's Brandon Codrington, and I think you guys know we've talked about it enough that I'd be surprised. I'm here to tell you I think I'd be surprised if Brandon Codrington isn't on this team. I think he's the main punt returner, and I don't care what position he plays. I think the Bills just need a guy they really trust, and that could have DB next to his name or wide receiver next to his name. But yes, there is always that possibility and chance, as people bring up and tell me, and I agree with them, that, man, if you get to it and you just got to save a roster spot, you might have to go with Elijah Moore. But, man, the Bills, they treat that position as a position. Yeah. They don't treat the position as, well, where's a guy who plays somewhere? And not for nothing, they've been working Brandon Codrington inside. And I think that's to make sure that, hey, if we're going to keep him, let's make sure he has a spot just in case something happens and we can use him in a pinch.
I was planning to ask you about him because I read from your article, I believe, that Sunday when the Bills are back at work, it'll be the special teams coordinator that speaks. And I don't have much for specific questions about special teams at this point. Say what you want in the chat. I mean, I do the best I can here. But Codrington, I think your take on this is very logical, and plus including the fact that you'd want to have some better confidence that he could play on defense if needed. But punt returner and kick returner, he might be tough to unseat.
I agree, and that's where I come from. Now, I get it. He did not play last year in the playoffs. They went to Khalil Shakir. Well, Khalil Shakir just got paid $58 million. He's not returning punts this year. Sorry, that's not happening. Now, you could put him back there in a pinch like you did Micah Hyde for a few times the last few years. That's fine. But the reason why they used Khalil Shakir was twofold. It was because Brandon Codrington was dealing with an injury. And even though he might have been able to play on Sunday, if he can't get all his reps and do everything, if you're not super confident throughout the week, so you using guys back there and making sure that you're buttoned up. When it comes time for Sunday, you're like, all right, let's not let anything wrong. He's coming off this injury. All right, let's go to Khalil Shakir. And the second reason is Khalil Shakir's done it. He's good at it. They trust him there. It's funny, guys. I talked to Brandon Codrington today about this, and I said, what does Sean McDermott look for in a punt returner? He actually surprised me in his first word. He said aggressiveness. Like, all right. He said, right. And then he said, but first you do have to make sure you catch the ball. You've got to catch the ball. He said, but he wants us to be aggressive. And I thought, all right, that's a really good answer to hear from Brandon Codrington.
Yeah, wouldn't most fans have guessed catch the ball would be the first thing he would say. He did get to it, right? But aggressiveness is an interesting take. Before we leave the secondary, Tre'Davious White spoke today. And that just listening to him talk about being able to work out like a normal player would work out, like prior to all the injury troubles. I mean, it was, 2 off seasons in a row that got derailed really for him by injuries and not really being able to train normally. And hearing him talk about that and how, I don't know, quite call him defiant, but like, man, I feel like he might be hard to move off of that corner 2 spot, and it's only 3 days into camp.
Listen, I think that Max Harrison has to really go out there and show that he can win it. Tre'Davious White is a great team player. Every time I see those guys kind of sub in and out for each other, they're dapping each other up, giving a high five, whatever, it's great. But Max Harrison wants that job, and Tre'Davious White wants the job as well. I mean, he's a competitor. He's going to do whatever he can. I think that it's going to be tough as well, and that's because Tre'Davious White, I think, is very, very determined to get back to being Tre'Davious White. Now, I don't think that there's, going to be. I don't think we're looking at all-pro Trey from a few years ago. But if this guy, the way that he works, the way that he thinks, I think he has every belief in the world that he can be really, really good player in the NFL still. And he has plenty of time still to do that. The other part of it is, boy, Bulldog, I mean, you can remember when he got hurt, right? And we had discussions about, like, how he handled it with the media, the things he said when he finally came back. We didn't talk to him for quite a while. Like, this is a guy that he really, really dealt with a lot mentally when those injuries happened. And it's so funny. I watch him, talk to him, see his interactions. It just feels to me, and I think it's clear to everybody, that he is so unlocked and free right now compared to that. He really is. And, as personally, as someone who's married to a mental health counselor, as, people, you guys who know how much that particular piece in life has become so much bigger that people talk about and recognize. And the fact that he's in Buffalo, where Sean McDermott and this regime and this organization really take that to heart. They want guys to embrace the mental health aspect of it. And Sean always says it is a strength, not a weakness, to make sure you're talking to people and make sure you're in a good headspace. Like, I just think all of that is really coming around for Tre'Davious.
How close to 100%, like whatever peak would be for him at age 30, does he say he is?
I don't know. Did he say that today? I'm not really sure. I don't know. I can't answer that because I can't remember if he said anything.
Okay. I just wonder, like, what does he have left is the bottom line here. I mean, he's feel good in a lot of ways. The other guy's a first-round pick this year. Like, he's going to get on the field himself. So I just wonder, like, after the Rams experience and then Baltimore, what it's fair to expect from Trey White.
Yeah, I think it's fair, too. And, I don't know if we're going to know until we get out there. Look, during OTAs and minicamp, I love the way he was moving, but then he got beat a couple of times by Elijah Moore down the field, right? So, we can talk all we want about this stuff, but he's got to go out there and prove it. He's got to show that he can still, hang with receivers down the field. I think that Tre'Davious White has every belief in himself. He has every confidence in himself. If we did ask him that question, he'd say, I'm 100%. I feel 100% like I can go out there and be everything I've always been. I think more than anything that mental component is so big from him. When he re-signed about how he did not know, and how could he ever know that was going to be his last time on the field with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, the perspective he got after leaving the organization and being with other teams and being away from those guys, away from the Buffalo Bills. And I remember talking to him. We talked about this, guys, when it happened. Tre'Davious White said to me in the tunnel, after he just had his season end against the Baltimore Ravens, we were walking up the tunnel together, and I said, hey, man, you're going to be a free agent at the end of the year. No, what do you think? And I kind of like jokingly said, you want to come back? And he goes, oh, I'd love to be back here. I've already let it be known to people.
Wow, right after that game ended. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it really will be interesting because the last time the Bills used a first-round pick on a corner, he couldn't get on the field. And so, and it's Tre'Davious White. It's not just some guy that nobody knows, right? The organization knows him. There's emotions there. But the team, I think, would be motivated, kind of like Mike said a minute ago, to get Hairston on the field. And I don't know if they'd be thinking at all about Kyer Elam in this, but I'm sure fans will be. Oh, we got another corner that can't. If Tre'Davious White wins that job, it's going to be loud because you got another corner that couldn't win the job that was drafted in the first round, like Elam, and like that's a tough brush to paint a kid with in Hairston, who hopefully will turn out better here than Elam did, but it could get complicated.
I agree. It will get loud. Will it be fair, though? I think is the question, right?
Sure.
That is it fair to go, wow, here's another first rounder that can't get on the field? It might have nothing to do with Max Hairston. Right, I think eventually we realized it was more on Kyer Elam than it was anything else.
Right.
Christian Benford did a nice job to win the job, and look who he is now. But, Kyer Elam never really was able to hit, and now he's with another organization. This might be because Tre'Davious White's just making it too hard. And, he's a guy that was an all-pro not too long ago. And, he comes back, and they can trust him. They know what to expect from him. And, I don't know if that's fair to put on Max Hairston, but I agree with you because of the other part of that, which is when people say Sean McDermott doesn't play rookies and, he's too tough to play rookies. And I don't think that's fair at all either. But the reality is that Max Hairston might not be on the field week one. It might be Tre'Davious White.
Sal, I'm mostly kidding when I say we missed one here. For all the time, quote, time and effort we put into trying to predict the schedule, I could have used to know this rivalry game thing. And might have had a better chance of predicting the Bills and the Patriots would play in prime time, for example, wearing these fancy uniforms.
Well, okay, you're right. I don't think because I knew it was announced a while ago that the NFL would do that even before the schedule, I believe.
Yeah,
that there was going to be this rivalry thing, and it did say it will be a division game. But I never thought, well, you're going to put a primetime game against New England for that. I just thought, okay, maybe a Sunday 1:00 game is you have these rivalry uniforms. Who knows what it's about? But, yeah, now they've announced it, and it made sense. Once the schedule came out, though, I did a little reverse tracking here, and I said, oh, you know what? I bet you that's the rivalry game. Like, why else are you going to have New England here on a Sunday night, Diggs return, all that? Like, to me, that's the rivalry game. That's where they're going to put it. Thursday night, Miami makes sense anyway, but why do you put New England on? Okay, that's perfect, because now we already knew. Then once they said the Jets were going to be that last game with the red helmets, it totally made sense. You only had two choices anyway. It's got to be that game. But you're right. No, we kind of didn't know that. But I know that people have to wait till August 28th. I mean, I have people telling me, don't worry, it'll be worth the wait. So we'll see. I know there's a video of the guys looking at it for the first time going, holy cow, these are great.
And not all the games are going to be night games. Like the Jets and the Dolphins is in, I think, week 14, and that's not a primetime game. So it would have just been, I'm sure it was me who missed it, not that the league didn't tell us it was coming, but just would have been one more thing I could have Had I been smarter,
thrown into the sauce.
Thrown into the sauce. Oh, well.
Well, two things real quick. Number one, you have to remember now, so that means they're going to wear their rivalry uniform, that Nike Rivalry Series, Week 5 against the Patriots. They're going to wear their AFL Throwback Classic Standing Buffalo, Week 6 at Atlanta Monday night. Then Week 11 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Week 18, they're wearing the Throwback Red helmets. So that's 4 times this year they'll be wearing a non-normal 2025 Buffalo Bills uniform. The other thing is, just to follow up on yesterday, guys, remember I said to you yesterday, boy, I bet you Matt Milano played linebacker in high school, right? The way
running back, you said, yeah.
I'm sorry, running back. Yes, running back in high school. Saw his dad today. I know Matt's dad a little bit. I saw his dad. I said, I got to ask you a question. I said this on the radio, and he goes, oh, Sal, he was phenomenal as a running back in high school. And his high school team went to the state championship game. He said they also had a couple other good guys, so they actually used them, unfortunately, at tight end maybe a little bit more than they should have in the state championship game. But he said, oh, he was great at running back in high school. And I said, all right, I could see it. Because the vision, right? The vision at linebacker reminds me a lot of a vision of a running back. So I followed up, and sure enough, Matt Milano played running back in high school, and apparently he was very good.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Bills in pads on Monday. We'll talk again then.
All right, you got it, guys.
All right, there you go. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline, and training camp coverage here on WGR is brought to you by Fiegel, Carr, and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today.
We'll take a break, come back after sports. Lines open for your calls at 803-0550. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. Fire season is here. It doesn't take much for a spark to become a disaster. Faulty wiring, a kitchen accident, even lightning can cause, of course, devastating damage in mere seconds. That's when Paul Davis Restoration steps in. They've been
Week number 1 is in the books for Bills training camp. A.J. Epinesa, ankle, and Dorian Williams' calf did not practice today. An injury list that is beginning to grow early. They joined Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, Cedric Van Pran Granger, and Laviska Shenault as not practicing due to injuries. And for more on it today, Sal Capaccio does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealer. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We also got uniform news earlier today. The 8 teams who will be participating in this year's rivalry series, the AFC East and the NFC West, will each be unveiling their uniforms on August 28th. And then following that, the Bills are going to be wearing their rivals' jerseys Week 5, Sunday Night Football at home against New England. The Yankees acquired third baseman Ryan McMahon from Colorado for 2 pitching prospects earlier today. The MLB trade deadline is next week. But tonight, Yankees have Philly in town and the Blue Jays are in Detroit. Both games will get underway, just after 7. The Mets are out west versus San Francisco a little after 10 o'clock, while the Bisons are on the road versus Columbus at 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Massive human on like ballerina legs. Like if you could take a bear and put ballerina legs on him, like he literally is a dancing bear, like one of the biggest guys I've ever been around. But he moves so fluently. And if you look at his legs, he got these athletic legs and then a big upper body. And he just fluent. Some big guys like, he's like,
Okay. Ed Oliver on Dion Walker. A bear, stay with me. I loved that. A bear with ballerina legs. A dancing bear. He did it better.
Yes, he did.
Much better. Good job, Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver cover band over here.
Yes. So just before with Sal, the last part of our conversation was naturally, because this is how it is now, about clothes and what the Bills will wear for different games. In that last game, it's the regular uniform, but with the red helmet, which reminded me about this weekend in baseball. It is throwback cap weekend in baseball.
Okay.
Wish I'd thought of it when Sam was on. He was talking about going to see the Dodgers at throw out the record books, Dodgers and Red Sox. They did play in a World Series, I guess, but the Dodgers are wearing the Brooklyn cap all weekend. The B.
Okay.
Everybody's wearing their regular uniforms.
Just different caps.
Mostly different hats. I mean, the Yankees hat looks the same. The Royals hat looks the same. So Boston, they're not wearing the red hat. They're wearing the usual navy blue Red Sox hat. But some are pretty cool. The Marlins are playing now in Milwaukee. And the Marlins are wearing, I had this hat. I wish I still had it. I don't think I do.
I looked at a Marlins hat today, just came across my feed, and I thought, ooh. It was just the color was that what is that teal, whatever their greenish blue color is that they use. It looked so good.
That's the original hat that they wore when they were new that they're wearing today.
That's probably why I saw it in my feed.
Right.
Because I shop for New Era hats pretty regularly, and I'll bet that, hey, here's a new thing that's happening this weekend. you buy our hats. Look at this.
It's because of the Hall of Fame this weekend, Hall of Fame ceremony.
Okay.
So some teams are going to look kind of funny. Like, that's not at all the Marlins uniform anymore.
Right.
In fact, there's an F on the hat.
Right.
And they're
the Miami
now.
Marlins now, right.
Yeah, but, fine. And Milwaukee is wearing the hat they wore when Hank Aaron played for the Brewers, which is just a big yellow M. A big block yellow M.
All right.
Before they went to the glove. The brilliant Milwaukee Brewers logo with the M and the B. So, there you go.
If I get some golf clothes to match that Marlins hat, I may pounce. I may. The hat could push me to get clothes to match the hat.
Oh, you sure you want to do that?
I mean, I gotta keep up appearances, Mike.
Teal?
Yeah.
Big and bright.
Yeah, fine.
Like a ballerina with a bear. Fine.
Yeah, there it is. I will be a ballerina. But I don't know about the bear or the ballerina part.
You got the bear part.
I got the bear part down.
The Blue Jays had, I don't think this is what they wear now, but I get confused because sometimes I just always picture teams in their old stuff. The Blue Jays have the white panel, like in the 80s, or even after that. The white panel and then the logo. That's Toronto. I saw some of their game last night in Detroit.
Me too.
Blew them out. Took a while, but they blew them out.
Yep.
Everything went their way.
Yep. You said yesterday, watching it, of course, I had the Tigers minus 1.5. Watching it, I thought, I should have listened to you. You said they're running so pure right now.
They are.
At one point, I think that was on the air. It was possible it was off. We were talking about them a little bit on and off the air yesterday, I think. But yeah, not a good bet. But yeah, they're rolling.
Well, it was one of those games like they hit balls where the Tigers were positioned way over there, and the ball, like Guerrero's double. Somebody hit a bloop into right field, and the right fielder was so playing the batter in the gap. You just no chance. I mean, they got a little lucky. The Tigers intentionally walked a guy to bring up Clement, and he hit a 3-run homer.
Yeah, I was watching when that happened, yeah.
And then the next guy homered, Loperfido. So everything's going right for Toronto lately. Do you have a favorite baseball hat? Do I have to say cap? I probably should say cap. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, before I answer that, because you mentioned the Dodgers wearing the Brooklyn logo, it's a normal style, like a current contemporary cap, right? It's not. I have a couple of those. I was with you when I bought them. I got an Orioles hat and a Red Sox hat that are like styled from the 40s.
Yeah, kind of round.
Yeah, like those would look really cool. I don't know that they're really practical to wear because I don't wear mine that often. They fit funny, right? They don't sit on your head the way a fitted cap normally would.
Yep.
But I'd love to see the Dodgers in like those old wool heavy caps, but that's probably not realistic.
I don't think we're going to get that.
Yeah. Favorite, the Oriole, the Earl Weaver cartoon Oriole. I like a lot. I've always liked that cap.
I think they're wearing that again.
Yeah, I think they are too. For a while, they had it looked too much like the Cardinal. Like the
it gives you a chance to say the word ornithologically if you want.
I'm not even going to try to say that.
Ornithologically correct.
I don't think I could get that out without making a fool of myself. But when they had the full bird, I didn't really like that. They've had like an O, like O's, with the apostrophe. No, give me the cartoon bird. We had a cap. Excuse me. See, I'm doing the same thing here.
I'm fine with it.
Cap. I think I've told the story before. We met Boog Powell at Boog's Barbecue. The kids were really little, and every time we went to a ball game, it was like buy whatever. You go to the souvenir. You're with kids, so we got the Orioles cap that was, I'm trying to remember what it was like 2 colors on it and that logo, like a white front panel, kind of like the Blue Jay thing you were just describing. Mm-hmm. And maybe the bill of it is orange. Such a cool hat. And that logo, Boog Powell autographed it, and we left it in the hotel room.
You left it behind.
We mistakenly left it in the hotel room.
Do you think you could be wearing it now?
Didn't realize. Well, it fit Owen. So
well, that would be small.
Although he does have a big head. But he might have been 6, so I bet it wouldn't have fit me. And we didn't realize until we were like 3 hours down the road. Like we're not going back for a baseball cap.
No, 3 hours is too much.
But that might be my favorite cap. That Orioles cap.
The 70s Orioles.
That logo on it. Man, I like that cap a lot.
You won't like them this weekend then. Because their throwback is from like the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
The other,
a
different bird, so to speak. They have the Rockies this weekend, so probably won't be watching much of that anyway.
No, probably not.
Cleveland is wearing an old hat of theirs that looks more like the Reds. The C looks very much like the Reds. Mm-hmm. The Reds C is a little bigger and skinnier than Cleveland. Otherwise, I think they're identical. Very close.
I've seen that logo before and thought the same thing. It's in the Cleveland colors, so it's Cleveland, but I thought that looks just like the Reds logo.
Yeah. And the Reds hat this weekend is blue.
Whoa.
How should that be possible?
That seems...
That's witchcraft. How is the Reds hat blue?
Unethical is not what I want here, but that just seems wrong.
It just seems wrong.
It's not seem... What are you doing?
Throwback cap weekend in baseball all 3 days. Time out here. We'll talk to Mike Dempsey. Get a little fantasy football in. It is that time of year when, isn't it? I know that's what you're thinking, but drafts are coming up. He covers the Jaguars. He's been on with us a few times. So we'll talk about that team with Mike as well. That's at 5. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. Around the NFL, Justin Jefferson shut down for a spell. He's got a hamstring injury. Head coach Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota saying not too worried about it. But he won't practice for the time being. Probably not someone you'd expect to see in the preseason anyway. Also, among receivers, Darnell Mooney went down on a play at Atlanta's practice yesterday. They're worried about his shoulder area. And I don't know what that is right now, the status or anything, but...
Sounds like an AC joint to me.
Maybe it's an AC joint.
I don't know.
It might be. But they did just sign DJ Chark, which is not maybe a great omen for Mooney. What's it like to be DJ Chark or maybe Amari Cooper or maybe Rasul Douglas, Keenan Allen? Veterans who, as camps have opened, are not signed anywhere, and they might just be hoping for injuries, to have...
That's a tough way to go, yeah.
Have there be
Right.
a door open for them, because that might be what's happened here. I don't know. In these drafts, I don't think I've taken any Amari Cooper, but Keenan Allen, yes. Just thinking that, what is he, just not going to be on the field for anybody as the season starts? I thought maybe Kansas City for him when the Rice news happened. But they sound like they like their rookie, Jalen Royals.
Yeah, I saw some reference to him having a good couple days to open camp up.
And if he's ready for it as a rookie, I think what my understanding is he would play Rice's position. Like that would be, he's kind of like him as a player, they say. So that might be the plan. But somebody could probably use Keenan Allen if he can run.
Yeah, and the worse the team is, the better, because then he'll play more. If you want to squat on him in fantasy,
fantasy.
that would be good.
Yep.
I don't know that he would love that so much, but
you want a team that has a terrible defense, and they're at least competent on offense. The Jets could be interesting. I'm saying if competent, but the Jets could be a candidate for somebody like that, couldn't they?
Sure, they don't have a whole lot going on at all behind Garrett Wilson, do they?
I think the number 2 guy is Josh Reynolds, who just he's an afterthought. They have a rookie tight end, Mason Taylor, Jason Taylor's son, that they drafted, but that's a tight end. So they could be a team where Cooper, I don't know what their thinking would be. They just seem like any team that you can't really name many of their guys, you might think would have room for somebody like that. But camps are open, and nobody's done anything yet when it comes to Cooper or Douglas. Is Douglas a little bit surprising that he didn't get scooped up somewhere?
I think he was pretty bad last year, and maybe it got worse as the year went on. So, yeah, I mean, I wonder what sort of opportunities he's had if he's, passed on teams that he doesn't think are going to really go anywhere. Like maybe he's a guy at this stage of his career is like, yeah, the Jets want me. I don't want to go play for the Jets. I don't want to go a 5-win team that's rebuilding. If somebody that's good wants me, that's maybe a different story. I don't know. What's New Orleans like? I feel like Keenan Allen, for some reason, I can see in a New Orleans Saints uniform.
Don't hate it. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, outside burner.
Right.
And inside, I don't know. Juwan Johnson can play a little bit, tight end. But I don't know after Shaheed what they've got. Bub Means.
They should call Keenan Allen is what they should do.
There was kind of a cool thing about the Saints today, I thought, from Johnson, who was talking about – Kellen Moore is now the head coach of the Saints. And he was talking about how Moore was using the NBA Finals as an example of how he wants his team to be. It was the Pacers – speed with which they played and energy maybe and the Thunder discipline. I might have it wrong, but it seemed kind of cool to think that he's trying to, or it's maybe a terrible sign. He's trying to get through to his less talented team by, using basketball teams as role models. Mike Dempsey next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
AJ Epinesa, ankle, and Dorian Williams, calf, not practicing due to injury, and that list is beginning to grow early. Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, Cedric Van Pran Granger, and Laviska Shenault also joined those two in not practicing due to injuries. But for more on today, Sal Capaccio does have a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. Coverage of the Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys. By Outlet Liquor, when you need to stock up, it's the place to buy. Case, what's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. And driven by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals on the entire Honda lineup, visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. Earlier this morning, we also got uniform news. The 8 teams who will participate in this year's rivalry series, the AFC East and the NFC West, will each be unveiling their uniforms on August 28th. Following that, the Bills will be wearing their rendition, Week 5 Sunday Night Football at home against the New England Patriots. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, he is dealing with a mild hamstring strain. He's going to be reevaluated next week, that according to head coach Kevin O'Connell. And then in baseball, Yankees have Philly in town while the Blue Jays are in Detroit. Both those games get underway just after 7. The Yankees also made a trade today, acquiring third baseman Ryan McMahon from Colorado for 2 pitching prospects. The MLB trade deadline is next week. Mets are out west versus San Francisco just after 10 o'clock. And then the Bisons, they are on the road versus Columbus at 6:30. That game can be heard on our sister station, The Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
You know, I gotta wonder what kind of working relationship you'd have with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp.
I've often wondered that.
Like, well, he, they, I don't know what his pronouns are, or their pronoun. Anyway, Satan.
And the Bulldog.
What's the upside of doing well?
Well, maybe they're too busy making everyone else's life hell.
Oh, boy.
And
wow.
You might just be able to do your own thing if you're partnered with Satan.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
They're too busy, making Scott Norwood miss field goals.
Oh, come on.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Does it feel to you that the Bills play Jacksonville every year?
Yes.
Why is that? They don't.
They played them last year. They played them in London. They played them with Urban Meyer. I don't know. It's been pretty frequent.
3 of the last 4 years. That's correct.
Yeah. So that'll do it.
That's all it takes. 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Mike Dempsey is with us from Jacksonville. Mike, does it feel to you that the Jaguars play the Bills every year?
It feels like we play everybody good every year because look at the record. I think we have played quite a bit in recent seasons.
A couple times in London, including 2 years ago, as Bulldog mentioned.
Yeah. Had the playoff game, but that's going back 8 years. But
that's right. It was my pleasure to listen to you last night. Mike is with Jaguars Today, 1010 XL in Jacksonville, also on Sirius XM with Bob Harris. Football diehards, as my connection to Mike is largely, if not entirely, through fantasy football. And here we go, Mike. I mean, imagine not drafting until late July. Can you?
Me? Personally? Hell no. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm playing one league for all the marbles, like if I'm playing a big money league, I want to draft as late as possible. But, man, I want the juice. All off season, you're missing out, man. People are like, why are you drafting in March? You don't know where anyone's going to play. Well, neither does anybody else. So
right.
Who's got the best instinct?
This is their time to shine, that crowd. Like Justin Fields gets hurt. And, just goes to show you, why were you drafting already? I mean, he's going to be okay, apparently.
Love that, right? They love that. They absolutely love that, right? Well, maybe somebody else in my league had Justin Fields. I will say, I probably have about 22, I think, drafts ongoing at the moment, which is about typical for this time of year. And yesterday, at one point in the afternoon after the news came out, I found myself, it was my turn to pick, which we call on the clock, of course, in 4 leagues, and I had Justin Fields in all of them. So I felt really good about myself, but I feel better today.
I enjoy the stories of the people who immediately scoop up Tyrod Taylor just because he, limped to the cart.
Right.
Just in case. Wouldn't be me. All right, Mike. Well,
we had somebody in a superflex do that to us. You start 2 quarterbacks, but I'll give them credit. It was a 16-team league. They had already drafted Fields. That seemed like a reasonable selection at that time.
How much of a stickler, Mike and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, are you for the language used in the tweets about an injury like that? Because carted off is not exactly what happened to Justin Fields. Carted off implies the cart came onto the field of play because he couldn't be moved and, immobilized and all that sort of stuff. And really this was, the locker room's way over there and we'll drive you more than carted off.
Yeah, carted off indicates you're riding backwards.
Right.
Right? Like, at best, you're sitting on the back of the cart. Perhaps you're laying down on it. Not that you hopped in the front seat. But, either way, and look, I get it. When you have a lower body injury, you can't tell if it's a non-contact issue or not. People are going to freak out and panic a little bit. And, whatever you think about Justin Fields, the Jets have invested $40 million over the next 2 years in hoping that they can squeeze something out of him, with Aaron Glenn hopefully leading a revived defense in New York. If Fields can protect the football, from a fantasy standpoint, he's a very intriguing player. He stuffs the box score because he runs quite a bit. We all know that's the kind of the cheat code in fantasy football.
With Mike Dempsey, Mike, the Jaguars have been a pretty hot team this year in fantasy talk. And Travis Hunter obviously has a lot to do with that. What an exciting move and draft pick. What are your expectations there, and what do you think of where he's going?
I'm probably not drafting him where he's going right now. Like, I looked at the Fantasy Pros yesterday, I believe, and it might be their consensus expert rankings. It might not have been average draft position, but they had him at wide receiver 32. And that's a little too rich for my blood in a 12-team league because I think there's going to be some week in, week out inconsistency. We don't know. I don't know if they know exactly how much they're going to be able to go all out playing him, 100 snaps or more. But I do think that is their desire. They want to get him up around 100 snaps a game. I think they think he can manage that. Will that all happen this year? Will it all happen on the offensive side? Like if you're in a dynasty league, particularly if you're in one of those leagues, guys, as you well know, that allows for individual defensive player scoring, he's almost like a cheat code, right? And, maybe, and again, it's more of a long-term play there. As a mid-wide receiver 3 in a 12-team league, that is, I don't know. This is a team that wants to run the football a bunch. They have Brian Thomas who's going in the first round, and I think that's justified based on his rookie season, the end of the first round. I honestly think De'Ami Brown is a much better fantasy dart throw just because you get him basically free. If you're in a 16-round draft, you can wait till your final round, grab him there. He's going to be on the field just about as much, if not as much, as Travis Hunter this year. I think Hunter is a phenomenal story. He's going to be great to watch. He will have his highlight reel days, but I'm just not spending the third wide receiver draft capital that it takes to get him in many redraft leagues.
Yeah, I wonder just how much of the talk that the team is even putting out there about using him both ways is any amount of smoke. I just, it's been so long since we've had a player that was capable of doing that. And I recognize that he was certainly capable, more than capable. He was great at doing that in college. I just wonder, once you're paying a guy and he shows you value on either side of the ball, like the risk you run in exposing him on the other side of the ball, I just think is, I just think that could get really tricky.
Well, what is he better at, in your opinion?
Man, I respect offense more, I think. Like that is where I think the value is.
I think if you gave him the full year to be nothing but a wide receiver, the full year to be nothing but a defensive back, he'd be a better defensive back than he would a wide receiver. Even though he won the Biletnikoff Award, I think he did. I don't think his route tree was that complex in college. He's got phenomenal hands. He'll pluck the ball, but he uses those to great effect on both sides. Look, I don't think they gave what they gave to move up, just a handful of spots to get him, unless that is fully their intent. I just think this is a new, crazy young regime that's like, look, man, we're not going to look back in 4 years and say, why didn't we do it our way? And they're going to go with their chest out, and they're going to spend 2 first-rounders and a second to draft Travis Hunter. And I think they're going to give him that opportunity. Now, will it change maybe, in week 2 when you play against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? Does he play more 95% on the defensive side and maybe 30% on the offensive side? That's possible. We're in uncharted territory, but I don't believe they're blowing smoke. I mean, you'd find out after the first month of the season, what's the point of hyping it up and giving up all those assets. I think they truly want to give him the opportunity to prove the world wrong, or that he can do it.
Yeah, it's the matchup point you just made that I've been thinking about a lot too. Like, it could be different every week, and in redraft where you set lineups, that's a headache if you don't know what you're getting, right? Like, if I'm Cincinnati, I heard Mario Puig make this point from RotoWire. Why wouldn't I just try to run him down the field constantly? If he's going to,
what if he's starting? So if he's starting Jamar Chase,
yeah,
you're just going to go routes with Jamar Chase all day.
Well, it doesn't have to be Chase, but you know.
Well, what if that's who he's guarding? You don't get to pick who he guards.
Right.
So I just think that is such an oversimplification. Travis Kelce said that. I mean, it's just like I just roll my eyes at that. You don't know if they are going to be in zone. If you're in zone and he gives somebody up to the safety, who are you running deep? The safety, right? I just think that idea that they're going to outrun a guy who played at a mile-high altitude playing like 120 snaps a game, that you're going to wear him down. I don't believe that. I think that the injury concern, it comes from an acute injury. Does he have too much contact? He's not a big frame. Does he get trucked by Derrick Henry? It's not the conditioning aspect. I think he's going to blow people's minds with the conditioning aspect. You can't talk to a teammate of his. And I've been out to every practice that's been open to the media since he got here, and they all rave about this guy never gets tired. You know, his other guys are taking a knee and a break in between periods. He's out there finding the defensive coordinator, taking reps and doing things. I mean, we'll find out, right? Yeah. I mean, it's all happy talk now. And maybe it'll be a colossal failure, but it'll be a fun one to watch.
Mike, before we move off of the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence on another new coach. I mean, it'd be wrong to say make or break. I mean, there's a huge investment there financially, right. So he's going to get some runway here. But, man, it's got to be like time to make that really work, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, Liam Cohen, as the offensive coordinator, take Baker Mayfield to heights he had never reached. And he had been a good quarterback, but never been what he was last year with 41 touchdowns. I think his career high was 28. Before that, I think Trevor's is 25. We're only asking to get him into the 30s, right? I don't need 41 in the first year of Liam Cohen, but absolutely. Look, he's got to show improvement this year, but you're right. This is not make or break. They're pot committed to him, and they knew that. Liam Cohen did when he came to Jacksonville, when he signed that contract. So I think he's got a couple of years, and I do think Liam Cohen, if he can grasp it mentally, if Trevor can grasp everything he's asking of him, the offense is shown to get guys open, and they had tremendous success throwing the ball and running the ball, and that's a big part of it. Are you going to provide him a good ground game? And if you can and take some pressure off him, I think the weapons are there for Trevor to have the best season he's had so far as a pro.
With Mike Dempsey, the Jaguars' backfield is a good topic, too. One of the better ones, I would say, this offseason. What's your guess as to how they play it with ETN, Tank Bigsby, and now Bashal Tutin?
Well, I'll put it this way. Every time I'm in a draft and somebody takes ETN in the, say, 8th round, 9th round, I smile, and I sit back, and I try to go back-to-back in like the 11th, 12th, and I take them both. I take Bigsby and I take Tutin. And it's kind of a field thing based on where their ADP is and where they are in the queue. I do think Tutin has the chance to have the Bucky Irving-type impact in the second half of the year. I mean, this guy is – he can do it all. He can run you over, he can make you miss, and he can outrun you. He can do all those things. And, look, this team, if they didn't trade up to get Hunter, they would have taken Ashton Genty at 5. You can't find anyone in Jacksonville that's not convinced of that. Had R.J. Harvey fallen to 70, they would have taken him there. We found that out after the draft. And as soon as he went at 60, they moved back. So they were looking to flip this depth chart a little bit. Tank Bigsby's been operating as the first guy on the field so far in training camp. But Travis Etienne's right behind him. They're kind of operating as co-ones, but it's not like Brian Thomas is not on the field for that first rep. Bigsby has looked fantastic. I think he's a great value there, but I want equal shares of Bigsby and Tutin because Tutin could take things over. I think the ideal scenario for the Jags is that they feel like the backs they have, which includes Kent Allen, who they got out of Syracuse. You guys should know him pretty well up there, right? He can pass protect. Can they protect the quarterback, and can they catch the football, and can they hang on to the football? If they're confident in the abilities of Bigsby, Tootin, and Allen to handle those jobs, I think ETN is available if a team comes calling for a veteran. They're not going to just cut him because he's on the hook for $5 million plus guaranteed. But I think that would be the best scenario for everybody for fantasy-wise if his ETN ends up on another team in the next 6 weeks. And let's say he doesn't, and he's on his fifth-year option. I don't think the team's going to commit to him after this year. And you're halfway through the season, and the Jags' record is 2-6. Okay, what's your incentive to keep giving the ball to Travis Etienne? Obviously, to try to win games, but I think they want to find out what the young trio has. If I had to bet on one guy today, it's probably Bigsby because I think he'll get an opportunity ahead of Tootin, but I like them both more than I like Etienne.
I'm with you there. Mike Dempsey with us on the Wester Hotline. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here on WGR. Mike, I think it's a great first round this year. I like drafting in the back, those receivers there, Genty, McCaffrey, Achane for running backs. Just seems like picking at 8 or 9, Bowers even in the second round, depending on the format. Feels like just ideal to be in the back. Do you agree?
Man, I've got so many drafts under my belt. I love it all, but yes, if you are a believer in building through an alpha wide receiver and maybe a pair of them, that is the spot to be, right? You can get Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. You can get Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can get, A.J. Brown coming back in the second round, Drake London, guys like that, Ladd McConkey. But once you get past about the middle of round 2, then those guys are usually off the board. If you believe in Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry and you want to have that balanced start, you can pair one of them with a high-end wide receiver. Yeah, look, 9, 10, 11, 12, that range. But, Mike, I always feel like that's a good range. I love double-tapping players early. But, Puka, another guy, right? And it varies. I've seen Justin Jefferson fall to like 8. In some drafts. People are going a little running back heavier this year. Ashton Genty, I've seen in the top 5. That's too rich for my blood. So if somebody wants to take that chance and leave me with a pair of potential top 10 wide receivers, got no problem with that.
Mike, we often lead these conversations about Bills as it pertains to fantasy, so let's squeeze in a couple of minutes here before we have to part ways here. What are you doing with skill position players? We know what Josh Allen is, but what about the rest? Because it's hard, everybody makes for maybe some complicated decisions unless your decision is to just ignore all of them.
Well, I think right now James Cook is almost ideally priced, right? I mean, all the touchdowns last year, I think his price has been somewhat depressed because people are concerned because he's unhappy with his contract. But once you show up and start practicing, those guys rarely withhold their services from that point forward. And I know he may be a little bit disgruntled, but sometimes having a guy who's looking to get that big payday is the best thing you can have. He's currently coming off the board as the 14th running back on average at pick 34. So if you've got the last pick, as Mike just said, maybe you go double tap Nico Collins and Malik Neighbors, something like that. So you're taking them at 12 and 13 or thereabouts. And then you come back at the end of round 3, and James Cook is staring you in the face. He's almost like the perfect back to take to me at that range. I think that price is going to climb. So if you can get him, and you guys up there, not going to get him there. At least if you draft anything like we do in Jacksonville, Brian Thomas, you got to jump early for him, right? But if you're in a draft where you can get James Cook at the end of round 3, I think it's almost an automatic pick at this point in time. I think he's going to climb up to the end of round 2, early 3rd round, put it in that range. So I think right now he's fairly priced and may actually turn out to be a value. That's presuming, he's on track to open up the season and healthy and all that stuff.
Interesting. You could even pick Allen with him there because that's where he goes, like 3-4 turns.
Absolutely do that, right?
Yep.
And just especially if you're playing in the best ball league and say, I get the Buffalo Bills touchdowns, right? Or I get the majority of – you come back with Ray Davis really late. In a scenario like that, and for your audience, probably, you guys are savvy. They probably know what best ball leagues are, but basically you get the best scoring players every week. So if your backup running back happens to steal a couple of touchdowns, you got a chance to have that guy in the lineup. So, yeah, you can absolutely – that is kind of the range where Josh Allen goes in a lot of drafts. I'm not usually going to make that move, but I wouldn't doubt I've got at least one team with the pair of them on it this year.
They only ran for 28 last year, the two of them.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all.
Anything on the receiving core or even Kincaid, Mike?
Brother, let me tell you what. The most rostered player I have in fantasy this year by a wide margin is Joshua Palmer. All right.
Wow.
Now, you tell me. Maybe that's a bad move, right? But I look at Keon Coleman, okay, early returns, mixed bag, and obviously they invested in him. There's room for growth. I feel like Khalil Shakir's not a big touchdown scorer. He's a nice, steady guy. If you want him as your fourth wide receiver, because you're going to get some points every week. But, again, I'm drafting mostly best ball leagues right now, and I try to follow the money. And he got a not insignificant investment there. You guys tell me. I feel like Palmer is – as good a bet to catch a jump ball touchdown or a red zone touchdown as anybody there in any given week. So I've got just tons of shares of him because the price is right, too. I'm not drafting him in round 8. I'm drafting him in, round 16. Yep. And if you can get him there, I don't see why you wouldn't be interested.
I'm not clear on, snap shares with these guys. I mean, Mac Hollins played a lot, ended up leading them in touchdown catches last year. Maybe Palmer has
with 5, by the way.
5. Right. Maybe Palmer has the space to do it. Handshake emoji as we wrap here, Mike, because my most owned player is Tootin. So
how about that?
Yeah, I'm at 40% on Underdog. It's a little bit of an unsettling number, but it's
wow, that is big. I got to look out because you and I are probably been in a few drafts together. I got to be on the lookout for you, brother.
I'm not the guy drafting ETN where you're sipping your coffee when it happens.
That wouldn't be. I'm grinning if you are, though, man. If you want to make me happy, early birthday present, hit me up.
Sad to say it's not me. Okay, thanks for your time, Mike. We'll talk again soon.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Mike Dempsey out of Jacksonville on Twitter, if you want to call it that, at MD_1010XL. He always has more drafts in than me. I
didn't know that was possible.
When I'm ever self-conscious about my massive portfolio, I'm like, look, I know a guy who's got probably double. Although it didn't sound like double. I told you yesterday, what did I say? I was around 200?
I think you got somewhere between 2 and 3, I think, is where you ended up. I think when you were counting it up. Yeah. All right. I don't. Sorry. A comparison popped into my head that I don't want to make.
Okay. I don't think I need to hear it. 803-0550 for your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
We've been living in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go! All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life.
First week of Bills training camp is in the books. The team will have off tomorrow, back to work on Sunday. Pads going on Monday, but today AJ Epinesa ankle and Dorian Williams calf not practicing today. They add to an injury list that is beginning to grow early. Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, Cedric Van Pran Granger, and Laviska Shenault also not practicing due to injuries. But for more on today and throughout the week, Sal Capaccio has a piece up at our website, WGR550.com. And coverage of Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University is brought to you by Fiegel Car and Joyce, your border attorneys, by Outlet Liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? By Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys, and driven by your Upstate Honda dealers for great deals on the entire Honda lineup. Visit your Upstate Honda dealer today. We also got uniform news early today. 8 teams who will be participating in this year's rivalry series, the AFC East and the NFC West, will each be unveiling their designs on August 28th. The Bills will then wear those rivalry jerseys Week 5 Sunday Night Football at home against New England. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, he's dealing with a mild hamstring strain. He's going to be reevaluated next week, that according to head coach Kevin O'Connell. And then with just a week before the MLB trade deadline, the Yankees acquire third baseman Ryan McCann from Colorado for 2 pitching prospects. Yankees are in action tonight, have Philly in town, Blue Jays. They're in Detroit. Both of those games get underway at 7. And then the Bisons, they are on the road versus Columbus. That game will get going about a half hour before the majors at 6:30. And you can listen to the Bisons over on their sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Ed Oliver is a good player. Daquan Jones is a good player. They added Larry Ogunjobi. They did work. They said, look, we need to do work on this part of the team. Let's do work. It also will help pass the defensive line if Milano can actually stay healthy for a whole year, because he's very good if he can stay healthy. You hope that Bosa is a big improvement. Obviously, they want the defense to be better and less dependent on turnovers. And if the turnovers come, then that's it.
Aaron Schatz, he'll be on with us next week. That's from a podcast he did with Mina Kimes at ESPN. Welcome back. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here at 803-0550. I have been spending most of the last few minutes since chatting with Mike Dempsey pondering his highest-owned player in fantasy being Joshua Palmer.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. Very often when we talk, we are on different pages when it comes to guys, and we're not in terms of the Jaguars. I like drafting Hunter because I think the upside is tremendous, and it's the middle of the 5th round. Zay Flowers goes around there, and that's maybe as good or better. But when you don't have to set lineups, and you can consider the possibility that Travis Hunter shows up in the league and goes 5 for 130 and 2, every once a month or something like that, that's very valuable. But maybe that's somewhat like what might be possible for Palmer, where he's not catching 6 balls a week. He's not Diggs. But, far from that. But maybe he gives you big
a smash
plays.
Week here or there, yeah.
But, Sal talked about Palmer today, right? He was on today talking about him and how he's not exactly a burner. He gets open. What Palmer does best is get open. But He's not really ever had a huge workload, and he's been in the league for 4 years, I think. I think a lot will have to I don't want to put it that way. A lot will have to go right. I don't know if the Bills want to sort of feed anybody.
Right. I wonder if the door is open for someone to walk through it at all. Right. I mean, it stands to reason that if someone elevates Palmer, Coleman, Samuel, whatever, pick one of those guys. Like Shakir is going to get whatever I think you can probably bank on whatever his numbers were last year.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I just think was that 76 catches, only 4 touchdowns,
850 yards,
821 yards. I've got. So that he's going to get the ball. He's going to get targets. But is there somebody else there? Because, I mean, there certainly was room in this offense when Beasley was catching more than that even. But that might be like the average Beasley season while he was here. I think he had 100 catches 1 year. But, mostly it's probably around that, your slot receiver. And there was room for Diggs to go over 100. So there's room for someone. But do they want that? It always has made sense to me that if somebody develops trust, chemistry, kind of like Shakir. Like, I think there's a reason that Allen likes to go to Shakir. He catches everything near him. So if somebody can start to show that they can do that, then maybe Allen will, I don't want to say skip through the progressions to get to that guy, but might just prioritize, and that's how you start emerging as a number one wideout, is if you're getting fed like that because you've earned it. And there should be room, even with everybody eats. Just because it didn't happen last year, maybe that's because Coleman was only a rookie and pretty raw and got hurt, and nobody else really was that. Samuel was injured. Maybe somebody can demonstrate that they deserve that attention. And Palmer, I guess, is as good a dart throw as anyone, even though he hasn't, because none of these guys have ever been that guy in an offense, right? Samuel's career high season is around what Shakir did last year, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm not looking at his career right now, but I feel like there's maybe a year in there where he did that, was healthy, and caught, 70-some passes. So I just wonder if there's the opportunity should still be there, despite Joe Brady wearing the Everybody Eats hat yesterday.
What was Shakir?
76 catches, 821 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Samuel in 2020, 77, 851, and 3.
Wow.
Almost identical.
All right.
And 41 rushes.
Ooh.
Shakir doesn't give you that, but Samuel could do some of that here.
Boy, he didn't do hardly any of that. He had 5 carries last year, Samuel. That's probably the injury. I doubt it's like philosophical, like they didn't want to use him that way. I think it was probably that he was hampered.
Maybe both, because they didn't need it. You put 7 men in the box against the Bills, they're going to run it. Cook is going to run it, Allen's going to run it. And if it's 8, they're going to pass. And they just never needed to, quote, get cute. Like finding ways to move the ball on the ground was not a problem for that team. So maybe this year they'll need it. Maybe this year, otherwise, he's just healthy and they want a different wrinkle, a different look. I mean, every team is always trying to find that. So I'm spooked by my paltry ownership of Bills, if you'll allow the word ownership, in Bills fantasy. 1.9% is my number on Palmer, which is like almost never.
Right. That's what that sounds like.
And, if you drafted, just auto-drafted, right? Just you signed up for 100 leagues and never made any of your own picks, just auto-drafted. In theory, you'd end up with 8.3% of everybody. You would get everybody equally. Using just one set of rankings, I'm going to have 8.3%. So that's like par. If you're drafting somebody at 20%, you're into them.
Or 40.
Or 41 now I'm up to on 41.7. That is a scary number for a guy who might not even start for Jackson, a rookie who was drafted on the Saturday. I've lost my mind. But Palmer is my highest owned Bill appears to be Shakir at 5%. I can find my way to him without Allen because there is a floor with Shakir, like we're saying, like you're saying.
Right.
I think that's good to have. If I'm drafting Hunter and Xavier Worthy types, right? Like there's the big game possible, but also duds, whoever else might qualify for that, then you want a guy like Shakir, you know?
Yep, that makes sense.
For security. Well, we'll get to work on this. I don't know. It's still only July, right? I still have a little bit of time.
You do, yeah.
When are we picking week 1? Not today?
I think I'm going to go ahead and wait until
week 1.
Friday. What is the date?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know the date. Wait a minute. The 5th of September.
Right. Friday the 5th. Thank you.
That's when you want to do it? At the usual time? Friday?
I think so. Yeah. Why you want to do it now?
No, I don't need to do it now. But I did want to bring up one game. Well, I was looking at the lines today for week 1. The Bills are pretty firm as the 1.5-point favorite they've been over Baltimore. That's been, I mean, why would it be changing? But that's been there since the whole time. The line has not moved toward the Ravens or the Bills. Like a favorite, but by less than 3. Maybe we'll end up there. Who knows? Week 1. Cleveland at Cincinnati. Bengals favored by 5.5. What's your inclination?
My inclination is that honestly, my first reaction is I would bet the Bengals if they were minus 7.5.
The game's in Cleveland, sorry.
Okay. Don't care.
They're fairly close to each other.
Right, yeah.
Cleveland and Cincinnati.
The stadiums are pretty similar looking.
We're closer to Cleveland, though, than Cincinnati is.
That's right, because Cincinnati's about 8 hours and Cleveland's only 3, so they're like 5, I think, from there.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
All right, so you would
it's probably not 8 anymore. It was 8 when I was a kid and my dad was driving a station wagon with paneling on the sides of it. You can probably get to Cincinnati in less than 8 hours.
It's so funny. That was also our drive every summer. Xenia, Ohio. Not quite to Cincinnati. And maybe every other year we'd go in. But not every year. See the Reds. All right, you're going to give the 5.5 at this point.
I think so. Yeah, I'm inclined to go ahead and.
Not trying to rush you.
No, it's fine.
You don't want to pick these games for 6 more weeks.
I don't feel like this is binding, but yeah, my initial
binding.
thought. This is not pick 1.
Not binding at all. I feel like I want to say the game's in Cincinnati. I've made that mistake before because they just opened in Cleveland a couple of years ago when Burrow was hurt. And they had, what did they have, like 6 first downs in the game or something awful, the Bengals. So I just kind of have thought that they would flip it. But no, the game is also in Cleveland.
Everybody says it, right? I mean, it's not just last year, but last year it was maybe more pronounced. They're a notoriously slow starting team. So, 5.5 on the road might seem like a lot, but I guess I'm pretty bullish on the Bengals.
And with that, Zach Taylor said that Burrow will get more work in before the season than ever. I don't know if that means the preseason per se. It probably does. But he was, responding to that. They're trying something different, it sounds like, this year because of these slow starts you reference. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after this timeout here on WGR. are in Columbus, 6:35. They won there last night. It is Hall of Fame induction weekend in baseball. Really randomly, a few weeks back, somebody called in asking about Willie McCovey because he had a ball that was signed by Willie McCovey. And he started to tell us what he knew about McCovey. And we knew some of it. And the man said, he's in the Hall of Fame. And I didn't say this at the time, but I know he's in the Hall of Fame. I was there when he was inducted.
Oh, awesome.
It was you should check it. I should check it. Some year in my teens, we were on our way back. The other road trip we would take would be to Massachusetts, where my dad's brother lives and all my cousins. And so we were coming home from near Boston and did the thing like my son and I just did with Williamsport. Stopped at Cooperstown, a little out of the way, but we made the trip first time there. And none of us knew that it was induction day.
Right. It's a whole different scene in that town when it's induction day.
I mean, It was like, I don't remember like when it hit me, but oh no, this is not ideal. Like
right.
The place is completely overrun. We did not go to the ceremony.
Yeah.
But it was on the day of his induction.
Yeah.
In the 80s, probably.
I made it to a ceremony for Winfield, Kirby Puckett, Bill Mazeroski. I don't remember if there was anyone else. And it was in a huge field. I mean, tens of thousands of people. It was massive. Really cool to be there. That whole week, we were there the whole weekend, and it was really, really great. Just walking around town, Harmony Killebrew standing on a corner drinking coffee.
I remember you saying that, telling that story.
So cool.
McCovey went in 1986. That would have been the year. Okay. Sam Panayotovich joins us on Friday. We'll talk some NFL futures and awards markets with Sam. We did earlier. We'll have that for you next here on WGR.